Welcome to Rauta and Steelfest 2020 preview. The fest is still about 2 months away, but as it seems, people want to be more. Welcome to Rauta Steelfest 2020 preview video. The fest is still about 2.5 months away, but it seems people want to be aware early enough what's going on, what's going to happen at the festival. And I had the pleasure of talking to the Mr. Main Jefe, the main organizer of the event, and figured out now it would be a great time to talk about this fest, because obviously people coming from outside of Finland, where this fest is going to take place, probably would need more time than just a couple of weeks to know the basic information, more specific information as well about the fest, what's it going to include, how to travel there, and all that stuff. Now, those of you who have been following the channel since the beginning, or at least more than a few weeks, you probably already know that I've been at Steelfest multiple times, and every year I basically deliver you people some cool interviews, or at least I hope them to be cool or informative or whatever. And I also want to always recap how the festival has been, and also usually do a kind of a preview of sorts, like what do you need to know when going to Steelfest, what kind of basic information you kind of need in order to travel there and all that stuff. Now, I could start this festival preview in so many ways, but first and foremost, it's all about bands, obviously. So I want to go just quickly through some of the names here, what there is around at Steelfest. You will find more information from the links below. In the description box, you will find more information about the whole lineup right there, so you don't need to just remember these names, obviously, here. I would actually pretty much suggest right now that open the Steelfest page, or just click open one of those links there when you have the full list of the bands there, and I'm gonna try to guide you through at least most of them. There are always some bands which I don't know at all or very little, so it's pointless for me to comment everything right there, and also because it would be taking way too much time. And after I've talked to you a little bit about these bands right there, I will give you a basic information, what is going on with Steelfest, how to get there, and whatever. And if you have any questions after the video, obviously you can just put them on the comment box below, and I will reply to them myself, or I will give you some site or person to contact in case you need more information. But I'll give my best to help you out, and maybe I will see you as well at Steelfest 2020. Now, it's a 2 days festival, Friday and Saturday obviously, and it's taking place in mid-May, that is 15th and 16th of May 2020. I have the artist list right there between my camera preview window in case you're wondering what the hell I am staring at. So it's roughly 30 bands, and one is still not out there. I think it's never gonna be public, that much I was told. It's gonna be kind of a bonus content, a very special band coming from France, I think, which is gonna do only one show, and that's it. So this is gonna be a very, very special thing for people coming to Steelfest, and it's not gonna be announced, or at least that's what I was told anyway. And since I have the information there in alphabetical order, I'm not gonna go with day by day basis. You just have to find out that information. But then again, most people are anyway going there for 2 full days, so it doesn't really matter in which order I would go, because you will figure out the schedule later on. But we have interesting bands. Most of them are obviously in the traditional Steelfest way black metal, but it's not just black metal. There are also some death metal names, some thrash, and even some doom. So it's once again very versatile setup, and I think the diversity this year is actually one of the best lineups at Steelfest ever. Obviously, this is always a matter of taste. Some people prefer certain bands, and that might be the kind of festival seller, and they were like, once, like a couple of years ago, there was Peste Noir, and some people, oh, I want to see it so much, I'm gonna take the ticket and go there. Or last year when there was Marduk headlining and so forth. But now it's a little bit different once again, and I'm gonna go, like I said, in alphabetical order. Akitsa is the first name that is in my list as the top one, and it's an interesting black metal act because it's kind of a raw and not your typical mainstream act in so many ways. Once again, a band that I have personally never witnessed on stage, so it's gonna be interesting. The second one here is Borgne, which is something that I actually have here with a review CD, which is going to be out next week. I still have no idea what it's gonna be, but as the label says, it's gonna be industrial black metal from Switzerland. So it's gonna be interesting because I don't know what to expect, but next week I will, probably even after tomorrow. Anyway, then we have old school death metal Cadaver from Norway, if I recall correctly. Not too shabby a band, but then again a band that doesn't really tour that much. So it's gonna be interesting. Then one of the headlining acts, and probably maybe the most interesting bands personally to me, is to see D-Side in Finland. They have cancelled so many shows during the years that nobody's gonna know if they're gonna make it, but obviously we kept our thumbs up, and personally I would love more than probably anything during the fest than to get a Glenn Benton interview, but obviously at this point none of the interviews are even on the table yet, so it's gonna be interesting if that happens or not. But let's see, personally, it's gonna be very, very interesting for me. It's gonna be more interesting than any of those black metal acts at Steelfest. Then we have Danish band Denial of God, known for its kind of a theatrics on stage, and was very, very active last year because 2 releases came out. Not exactly the greatest black metal bands they're out for sure, but then again, one of also the more kind of weird or interesting bands. Then we have Diocletian, which I think I haven't even heard. I have known the band for years, but no recollections whatsoever. I have 0 expectations, so it's gonna be positive surprise most likely. Then we have Drodden Forest, which is a Finnish band, kind of a side project of Vargrave, like some of you gonna pronounce it. It's very unmetallic in so many ways, and it's going to be interesting how it's going to be live stage. Then we have a relatively newcomer band, Faustian Pact, black metal from Finland, released to Werewolf Records, actually 2020, I think, early. So probably going to be an interesting one as well. Then we have Havukruunu, which is also one of the Finnish black metal bands, not one of the old ones. Seen them on live, but couple of times. It has been so raw in terms of production value studies, the overall sound. So I don't know, maybe they can kind of a step up this time more than before. Then a 1990s blast with Hyvinkää Enthroned. Back in the days, I remember how it was always seen kind of a Cradle of Filth copycat, even though the band actually did something else, but still. Then one of the more interesting bands is going to be Infernal War, which has some kind of a stigma on it for, well, various reasons. I don't know how it's going to be on live, but people say it's going to be a blast. Then one of the Finnish classics, Impel Nazarene. They are back at Steelfest. They were there a few years ago. So it's going to be interesting once again what Mr. Luttinen is going to say on the stage. Last time he was provoking the audience in a quite interesting way. So Impel Nazarene show shouldn't be a disappointment to anybody. And then we have also Moon Sorrow doing a comeback at Steelfest. Their kind of epic black metallish kind of stuff is definitely something people are into, especially if they're in the atmospheric way. So it's gonna be interesting to see them as well. And one of the bands which I have also witnessed is an interesting case. In my opinion, it's Melechesh, originally from Israel, but later on living in around Europe. I don't know actually where right now, but seen them before, and they are very solid live act. They are also one of the bands that have done nice interviews me previously, kind of the predecessor of Rauta anyway. So it's gonna be something that you might be taking a look at. It's their style is kind of unique, with it's kind of flirting with black metal, but it's not the pure kind of stuff. Very interesting band anyway. Then we have a Misþyrming from Iceland, representing kind of a third wave of a black metal. Then we have very interesting band coming from Sweden, Mörkgryning. Well, their best stuff came in the 90s. After that, the two first albums kind of went on decline, but I'm very keen to see these guys. The last time I see them was like early 2000 something. And they have a new album coming out, so who knows how it's gonna sound. People have been saying it might be the kind of going back to the roots, but you never know until you actually see it. Also from Sweden, Niflheim, which is very violent and aggressive act, kind of a black trash combination, having very strong homage to Iron Maiden in a way. Well, at least those brothers of the band are. It's going to be interesting. One of the bands which I totally hope I would get for interview as well. Then Oskol Minfame from Poland, if I recall correctly. No recollection seeing that band alive, so it's going to be interesting. Now, Primordial is also back. They are from Ireland, obviously. And one of my favorite interviews of all time was done with Alan Averill from Primordial a couple of years ago. That was when they were doing a Steel Chaos show. So it wasn't Steelfest show, but anyway, then we have Profanatica doing another visit to Finland with their kind of a very blasphemous, very mocking, old school black metal, if you will. It's gonna be interesting with those hooded figures. Not my favorite band on stage or on album. I'm more a Hyvinkää guy, but it's gonna be interesting anyway. Then the Doom is represented by Shape of Despair, which is actually quite cool, kind of a funeral doomish act. From Finland. They're also doing a warm-up in Finland earlier this spring with Tom G. Warrior's kind of a Hellhammer sidekick, but I cannot remember the name. Sentence of Death maybe, or something like that. Anyway, and then we have Sodom doing a comeback. I mean, comeback in the terms that they already played last Steel Chaos. But now these trust legends from Germany are there to conquer stage. And I hope it's gonna be the outside stage, because that would really fit the Sodom feeling, you know. Just nice gleams from the sun. You have warm sun, you have cold beer, and you have some fierce thrash metal there. These guys don't let you down until they die. Then we have Seth, if I remember correctly, from France. No recollection whatsoever. Then we have a new band from Germany, well, relatively new anyway, which did quite nice black metal not too long time ago. One of the interesting bands is gonna be Venom Inc. You probably know how Venom was split into two in like the same way like bands like Entombed and the rest. And know how it's gonna be on stage, but I think they're gonna kick ass with their old school black metal or proto-black set list. Not for maybe the new school of metalheads who are more into the Misþyrming side, but Venom probably doesn't let you down. Then we have Vomitory bringing old school Swedish death metal on stage, and I think that's something worthwhile also. Last year they had a couple of reissues out which kind of proved how vital they were already into 90s doing their stuff. And people like me were probably expecting that it's not gonna work anymore because they had this cut up band which was kind of a successor to Vomitory. But now it seems Vomitory is back as well. So it's gonna be interesting. Definitely old school death metal. Then we have War with Dots. Don't make mistake with the Swedish band War, but this one is, if I'm not mistaken, a Samael project of sorts. So I don't actually know what they're gonna play on stage. Is it gonna be Samael under different name due to some lineup changes, or is it something totally different? That's beyond me. I kind of like to be this clueless because I sometimes want to be surprised. Then we have two more bands from Finland, which are War Moon Lord and White Death. Those of you who have been following the channel for a little bit while know that I am a fan of both bands. both play good, solid Finnish black metal, but in different ways. White Death being more melodic, more kind of a mainstream in sound, if you will, but War Moon Lord is way more raw, more akin to Satanic War Master and some of those French black metal names like Gions Noir, think of Mutilation and stuff like that. Made very good debut album, one of the best last year. So very, very solid lineup. Now it seems that I just broke my words. I was still listening all the bands and commenting them one way or another. Anyway, my point here is there are a lot of interesting bands, especially if you're a black metal head, but also with those kind of names like Deicide and Vomitory. For death metal fanatics, it's gonna be interesting. Also the Cadaver one, and then something else. But if you're only looking for anything else but extreme metal, this is totally wrong festival for you, but I guess nobody's doing that right anyway. Now the question is how to get to Steelfest. If you're coming from Finland, obviously it's quite easy to find this city of Hyvinkää. It's some few dozen kilometers from Helsinki, and you can pretty much take a train or bus or whatever and arrive there quite easily. And if you're coming from abroad, basically the same information is right there for you. First of all, I would say book a hotel right now. I don't know if there are any free hotels in Hyvinkää, but there are nearby cities which also have hotels and where there is easy access via train, kind of a local train, which takes only a few minutes. For example, Järvenpää is pretty closely located, and you can just take a train and come from there to Steelfest. Even during the night, you can go back to the hotel. And the taxi is not going to cost too much either. Why I know this, because I have, a couple of years ago, we had a hotel in Järvenpää, so we had to travel that. But it was not that big of a deal. Obviously, there are some hotels in Hyvinkää. Probably now, mostly them are booked. I don't know if there are free rooms, but you need to check that out personally, obviously. And the time is ticking all the time. And those hotels which are in Hyvinkää, they are probably either, within walking distance. Some hotels are literally like maybe 10 minutes walk away from the festival venue. Some are maybe 30 minutes of a walk or some 10 minutes with a taxi. So, because Hyvinkää is not that big of a city, it's really easy to find those places. And I wouldn't be surprised if people had some Airbnbs or whatever, either in Hyvinkää or nearby cities. So before you just waste your money, do some research and find out which is the most suitable place to sleep for you personally. It's also possible if you have like place in Helsinki to just come from there. Then it takes a little bit more time with train. I would guess 30 minutes, but I'm not exactly sure. Things have changed since last time I was traveling between Helsinki and Hyvinkää with a train. But anyway, it's very, very easy to get there because the trains just go by, and the train station is rather nearby to the venue. And at the venue, what you can do, well, you cannot go back and forth. Once you get in, you're there until you're gonna leave, and that's that. But it's no problem. You have cloakroom service, obviously, where you can leave your stuff and get it if you need to. There are lots of food places, well, relatively a lot. We're talking about 2,000 people fest anyway. But you can get, probably, if it's gonna be the same as previous, you're gonna get burgers, you're gonna get some Chinese or Oriental food, let's put it this way. You're gonna probably have some traditional Finnish cuisines, kind of takeaway food style. There are probably some vegan options for you people who are more concerned about that. There are quite a few places where beer is sold and other drinks such as cider, probably some hard drinks as well. There is a first aid place. There is you can probably fill your water bottle, and obviously there are outside toilets and whatever. What about those people who have trouble accessing maybe a wheelchair or something like that? You can go there as well. It's pretty much, mostly it's an outside area anyway, with tables and chairs, the long style, and you can pretty much see the gigs even if you're just, sitting on the bench. and taking a look at the outside stage. The inside stage is a little bit different, but obviously there are tables and chairs as well, or benches. So it's, I don't know, it's pretty small, but still room full enough, you know, kind of a spacey, roomy, whatever you want to call it, a place that is just friendly in atmosphere. Some people try to claim it's like filled with certain kind of people with certain kind of political agenda, but that is, to be honest, bullshit. Even people of color and different background, different cultural background who have come there have said that, you know, you just find reasonable people right there. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are. Doesn't matter what kind of politics you go for, you will still be able to enjoy there fully without no harassing, no fights, no whatever. In the few years I've been at Steelfest, I have never witnessed a single fight. The only problems there have been when people are too goddamn drunk and then they fall over, and maybe then the paramedics come and, okay, we'll just take you out because you cannot handle the booze. But that's it, basically. And you're gonna meet probably many of those artists wandering about after or before the show, so it's easy, relatively easy to get your autographs, your, I don't know, album signed, get fan photos or whatever. And in general, people are very much like brothers and sisters in battle. I know it sounds kind of a cliche and blah, 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 but it's really like that. People are like-minded there. They're going to see the bands. They're going to see friends. And they're going to just enjoy the atmosphere right there. And of course, I'm going to go wandering about. So if you can spot me, come say a hello. And maybe we'll drink beer. I don't know. And obviously, I'm going to do interviews, as many as possible. But due to the limit of time and whatnot, I want to see the bands as well. Not just be talking to the artists. It's going to be most likely some 3 or 4 bands per day, and at the moment I have no idea which bands they're gonna be. That will follow out soon. And obviously people who are supporting Rauta on the Patreon page, you will find the link also in the description box. Well, you will have the preview content already there before the rest of the audience. That's the least I can do for your Patreon supporters who are ready to fund the Rauta crew, me and my camera crew, going to the fest and do those interviews. Now, 23 minutes in. Are there any questions? Are there any suggestions, recommendations, random ponderings or ramblings? Put them on the comment box below and I'll get back to you. I hope this pretty much covered the whole basic deal, what Steelfest 2020 is all about. But as there always is, more questions coming, more things I probably forgot to mention here. So put them there and we'll get back to you. And now it's good time to pop your beer and have a little bit of enjoyment for your weekend. So until next time, Rauta signing off.